the critiques are just you and I on here, so they don't actually join it.
Oh, okay, excellent. Alrighty, so I will open a new browser, or actually I will just go to JLark and
Perfect.
go to my um, photos and then screen share.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my updated album. And there are the photos. So then I will come back. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. Well, coming back was not as easy as I thought. Shucks, and I thought I had this down.
Okay, so if
I'm not usually,
what are
okay,
you
there you
doing?
are. There you are. So I'm not usually on my back.
Okay,
So then let me go to screen share. Screen share.
there you go.
And okay. And so let me see if the entire screen, but now because I minimized my other screen, let me see if you can see it. This is terrible. I'm so sorry. Here I thought I had
That's
it
okay.
all. Okay, so
Level 4. I'm gonna make like a collection of the level 4 moments.
aha. So Safari is where I can see my multiple tabs. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Nope, I'm looking at you.
Okay. So I am just going, well, I did something bad, and as I put you I opened you in Microsoft, in Chrome, and I don't see
Okay.
how I can do the multiple tabs on Chrome.
You can probably go up to File and then just click add a window or open it in a separate window.
Okay. All right, so there you are. File. Oh, new window. Sorry.
There you go.
This is why I'm not usually on my Mac, because it doesn't make heads out of it. Okay, so there I am, Alexandra, and home, and go to communities, and I think we're finally going to be in business.
So does your screen say that you're screen sharing right now? Because I'm still seeing you.
Let me see. Let me touch your screen. There. Can you see it now?
I see a black screen. There we go. Okay, we're all set.
Okay, excellent. So let me go to the album.
There you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
what happened?
I don't know, but we turned off screen share.
Well, that was strange. God, I am so embarrassed.
Don't be. Let me go back through and I'll make sure to send you to everybody else's level 4. I'll give you the links to all theirs where they all did the same thing. And
Oh,
then I'll send you to the first level 4 I did where I did it.
I seriously did a hangout with Tom, and then I did a hangout with Monica, and I did not have all these problems. So what I do is I have two screens open now just to make sure that I see it. So let me see you and let me share my screen so that you can see what I'm seeing as I'm opening this. Screen share, and there is that screen, which is this. Can you see it?
No, I'm seeing an icon of you. Hang on. There we go. Okay. All set.
So it is loading now.
There we go. Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Alrighty. So interesting. Very interesting. Sorry. Everything's going wrong. I had these in order. I'm like,
Okay.
not the order I had them in. So that's okay. So the sort of the gist of it is that I'm really just beginning. So I'm not expecting these photos to be amazing yet. So I'm still learning just a ton, even just from the tutorials.
Okay.
What I would love to do is sort of put together, even more than an emphasis on the photos, like a plan, like a learning plan. Like just sort of get on the first page of ABC 1, 2, 3, this is where we want to get, like where should we start? Because we really are starting from scratch.
Okay. Well, then let's start from scratch and talk about why photography and what kind of photography. What is it that you want to do?
Um, well, I have discovered in the last few years that I just love being creative. Like I love art. Like I've always loved art, but I'm just a practical, like a really practical person. So I went in all to all the practical things in terms of my work. And
Okay.
then now I'm realizing, what am I doing? I'm really bored. I'm not that interested. And all these creative endeavors are what really bring me alive. So I
Okay.
do all kinds of art, um, and it's all just been a hobby. And then most recently, so did you see how that disappeared and I did not even touch anything?
That's okay. Let's have this conversation first, and then we'll look at your images.
Okay, great, thanks. Um, and so uh, so with the business, so I have a full-time job in finance, and that's sort
Okay.
of what my focus has been. And I've been kind of straddling the fence thinking it makes a lot of sense for me to continue in finance, and part of me is like, why am I even doing this? So I know I want to make a change, and I just haven't kind of decided where. So my husband and I did start a business about 4.5, 5 years ago, and it really is his baby. And I agreed to help him with it. So at the end of the day, if there's ever sort of a disagreement or anything, like the agreement is it's his baby, so he gets the last say. So I would
Okay.
do something that's just for me. So the plan is for me to eventually work my way out of my day job and into the business. And I have a choice to do that or not. Um,
Okay.
I would like to do that, but maybe part-time, and also build something that's just for me, something that I love. For now, there's a lot of room for what I want to do in the business. So,
Okay.
so I am looking to do something that kind of dovetails. And because I have a full-time job and I work in the business, I don't have a ton of time. So I need something that works in tandem with what I'm already doing so that it's
What
seamless.
is what is the business that you have with your husband?
It's a brewery, so
Oh,
beer.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in terms of sort of where we are, we started about 4.5 or 5 years ago, so we really are just in startup mode. And he's now working full time in the business, but he's not taking a salary. So for now, I am the breadwinner. So it's not like I can leave my job.
Okay.
So by the end of the year, that's the idea, but at the same time, I don't want to put pressure on the business. The business is going to do what it's going to do, and I just need to create what I'm going to create.
Well,
Um,
I don't follow that mindset that the business is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to be successful or it's not, and that's going to be dependent on you and him.
I,
So I'm gonna go out
and
on a limb at the beginning and say that part of the reason that you have the ability for the business to do what it's going to do is because you have your day job. So if you want it to be a success, quit your job and make that the focus, because if dinner depends on it, you will work for it like dinner depends on it. Which
well,
is why I've also been in business for 5 years and I am where I am because I didn't have a choice. It was this or nothing. It was ride or die.
mhm.
um,
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
which it's fine. Like if you're happy at where you are and you want to just let it kind of build slowly, but that is the mindset of somebody that's playing at being a business owner, not somebody that's a business owner. There's no reason why at 5 years you guys are not turning a good profit. 5 years is plenty of time to make a business successful. 1 year is plenty of time to make a business successful. So I don't think that it's
so
necessary.
agreed. Um,
Okay.
and and I want to give him the latitude to do what he's going to do, and not and sort of not get in there, and then you're dealing with like two people butting heads. Like, okay, you need to do this or you need to do that. So um, I sort of I guess I just want to give him the room to get it done, and um, yeah. I
Is
agreed that 5 years is long enough, which is why I was like, okay, I need to do something where I'm just not waiting for, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Um,
okay.
yeah. So,
Okay. Well, are you happy at your financial job or is that just paying the bills?
it's just paying the bills.
Okay.
Hmm.
So the other option then is that you can continue to let your husband kind of have his baby and build it, and it can be a slow and steady climb. And we can work on building something that's for you that can be the breadwinner the same way that the financial job is, but that you're spending your time doing something that you really enjoy.
Yeah.
The best way for you to not get in there and butt heads with him is to just not get in there and let that be his baby. Yeah. I'm married too. We've done it. Trust me. My husband pretty much stays out of it. He builds me props. Other than that, he just stays away from it because it's my baby.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
And right now we work on different areas of the business, and so that kind of works that way. And
okay.
yeah, so I think that's kind of what I want to do. Is I want to support him in what it needs to be, but at the same time, I want to get something started.
Okay. What
Yeah.
do you want to start? What do you really love to do?
Um, I love I love the creative process. What I have chosen to do in terms of the business is I first started with graphics, so I've kind of worked on that. Then I've taken on social media and marketing, and that's been really fun, kind of learning that. Um,
Okay.
and then as part of that, I've taken on all the photography for the business, and
Okay.
it's been really fun. Other than I've become very dissatisfied with the quality of my photos. um,
Okay.
I would like to make a change to something that is creative. And as I was giving some thought, really, at the end of the day, I would love to build something that is passive, like passive income. So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, where I can create, um, but I'm not working for somebody else.
Okay. Easy enough.
Hmm.
Is photography the love of your life right now, or are you kind of a creative in a lot of different mediums? Like,
I'm a creative.
let's say that I was going to pay you to quit your job right now. So you were going to give up your financial job. I was going to send you, let's say, let's say $10,000 a month every month for the rest of your life, and you did not have to have a job ever again, what would you do with your time?
Um, I uh, I think I would do more of what I already do for fun. Like,
Okay. And
like,
what is
so when I work part-time in the business and the part that I do, I find fun. And
it? Okay.
I travel and I take pictures and I find that fun. Um, I I can't say that I always thought, gee, I want to be a photographer and do that as a job. But I am the person in my family that's always taking pictures. And if we travel somewhere, and we're driving back, I'm always editing the pictures and cropping and putting books together. So it is something that I enjoy uh,
Okay.
and that I have for fun. Um,
What do you love to take pictures of?
um,
What's your iPhone filled with right now? What's your camera phone filled with?
so I would say, like, if I'm on G Plus and I'm just surfing, it's landscapes, like beautiful landscapes. I take lots of pictures. I admire a lot of pictures of landscapes. I think every girl loves fashion magazines. So
Okay.
I have some fashion, I have some art, and a lot of just practical things. Like one of the things that I do is like we're opening a gift shop. So I'm the one that's putting that together. So I've designed our T-shirts and some of our clothing wear. So I'm kind of always looking for that. What's a cool T-shirt? What does the fashion look like? How can I design it? What kind of prints can I put on it? And now that I'm, improving the photography, I'm like, well, how can I take cool pictures of that? And so I guess some of that. Um,
Okay. Okay. Um, so let's talk about income then. What are you looking to do as far as that?
so I
How much would you like to be making?
like if I like the very minimum, like if we have to get by to just get by, pay the bills, like 5,000 a month. How much I would like
Okay.
to is 10,000 a month, and how much would be like awesome would be 20.
Okay. Fair enough. And you're looking to do that just solely from the photography, or is that including the husband's brewery as well?
I would like to have it just for me, and I would say that's just a personal goal. Like I don't like I can choose to take a salary or not take a salary, or I could choose to be there and work, or I could choose not to. And if I have my own income coming in, then I'm doing it because it's a choice, not because I have to.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay, so we have travel, we have landscapes, we like the idea of fashion and fine art. What do you want to be known for? What do you where's your
Oh,
focus? Where are you really
you would
grounded?
really stump me with a really hard question. um, I would like to be known for somebody that really celebrates other people, somebody that really encourages people, somebody that inspires people. Um,
Okay.
and I have,
Okay, so let's go ahead.
in terms of photography, which is kind of interesting, doing like a 360 on that, something that I had kind of talked to somebody about even just a couple of years ago, like someday maybe it would be really fun, is I wanted to have like a photography studio at the brewery and do photos like beer girl photos or like vintage, like every girl wants to be on a beer poster,
Nice.
like pinups. And I had even talked to somebody else about possibly working out of the brewery. So that's one thing that I thought was a possibility. Like, so we're just on the verge of opening a tap room. Right now, we've been production only,
Hmm.
uh, and we've expanded to a new location where we have some space. So there's a possibility I could have space where I could do that. Uh,
Okay.
and that seems kind of like a natural segue of something that would be that I think would be fun and would have sort of like a built-in stream of eyes, that could potentially be interested. Um,
Okay.
and I don't know that, like, I would like to do it for fun, but not because like these people are booking me. So I was giving that some thought. So when
You know what though? That's what we're looking for. That's the sweet spot that right there. When you go, I want to do this because it's a fun idea and I don't really care if I get paid for it.
yeah,
That's what you start building your business around. And
yeah,
that makes it really easy to sell because when you get excited, they get excited.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so like that I think will be fun, like that. I actually had started a group it's called Barley's Angels, and it's all about women in beer. And we had a photography day, and it was so hilarious. Everybody, like, I put it together, but like I did not know that the women would go so crazy. Like they brought all these outfits, like multiple outfits. And we had like a makeup
Nice.
artist, and it was just fun being a part of it. Not so much getting myself photographed, but just being a part of the energy. Um,
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
as I was thinking about the possibility of doing this, I was thinking that maybe if I have this available, maybe I do it for fun with whoever I want to, but I could make it available where I booked, two or three other photographers. So if somebody like wants something, they could go to somebody else and I could do mine for fun. Like, I don't know. That's just one thought. So
So
I don't
they
know.
would you would do yours for fun and then they would go to somebody else if they wanted to pay for a session?
Um, I guess not necessarily. I was thinking more like when I get good, like I'll be expensive, but I could make it, available to like two or three other photographers. Could also
Okay.
like I don't feel like I have to be the only photographer there and like I have to be the only one doing it. Like I'm okay, um, having another photographer come in and also take photos, and then I would just take a commission for having the space available and coming up with the clients.
Okay, so you're an entrepreneurial creative. I
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah.
I'm an entrepreneurial creative. Like I don't
You
feel
and I are gonna get along fine. You and I are gonna get along fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's take a look at your images and see where you're at right now, and then we can have another conversation about where that's pointing to and kind of adjust sales. How's that sound?
okay. That sounds good.
Okay, so you want to go up to the screen share again, or I can jump in the community and grab
Yeah,
it for you.
do that because I might just have another mishap. I can
Okay.
my screen just closed all on its own for whatever reason.
Okay, let me see. Um,
The other thing that I thought too is, I have seven national parks within driving distance. And the other
where are
thing,
you located?
I'm in
Remind me.
Park City, Utah. So
Okay.
there's five national parks in just Utah, and then I have the Tetons and Yellowstone, just 4 hours away. I get there in the
So when you applied, your application had Afghanistan, if I remember correctly. Is that
I
right?
think so. You must be thinking of someone else.
I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna have to. You should go and check that. It may have just reset. I was curious if you were military or not because I remember looking at that and like you got an instant star just because my husband was over there at the time.
No, I'm actually Colombian.
Okay, interesting. Okay, all right. I'm gonna pull the images up and we'll take a look at them from mine. Then I'll do the screen share. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the images you brought to critique and tell me about this one.
Sure. So I brought to critique kind of what I currently have a need to take. And
Okay.
so what I currently have a need to take is photos to post on our social media. I'm always looking for stuff to post. Yeah, so this is Kathy, and she is a bartender at one of the resorts where we sell the beer. So it was basically a photo of a quote unquote publican, which is the name of one of our beers. It means bartender or a barkeeper. And it's just a picture of her in the outdoor bar.
Okay.
And so I went to
Okay.
photos.
Um, and it's a great, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I took a whole bunch of
Did I
photos,
lose you?
and it was like it was really tough. Like either that light was in the wrong spot, or I didn't catch her. She was making a bad face, or somebody else was caught in the middle. I tried to get our tap handles, and then I mean it was just like one mishap after another. I could not find the spot from where I could get a great shot of her. So this I took a whole bunch, and that was the best of the whole bunch.
Okay. Um, and I like this one. It's a good outdoor candid kind of photo that doesn't necessarily look like an advertising photo, which I think actually make the best advertising photos, especially for smaller business at the more kind of grassroots levels.
Mhm.
I love her expression, looks genuine, looks like she's having a good time. And this is one where the other person is totally ruining it because we have just enough of him that we can make out the face, but then we're seeing like the shock top, which is making like this awesome like sort of armor helmet for him right over his nose. Like I see like old knight kind of thing going
Yeah,
on. So it may just be the kind of thing that even at events like these, like it's great to get the candids and like the genuine moments, but it also might be the kind of shot that you stop them and go, look, I really want to get this shot of you for our thing, and just, have your bartender there and make sure he knows a couple of good jokes so that you get a genuine laugh from people. Um, or have somebody that's your second hand, or grab your husband and be like, look, keep everybody else, out of the shot for right now, and you'll kind of figure that out as you go. Like you'll have different cues. Like my husband knows when somebody's in my line of sight with my lens and like instinctively goes and kicks them out of the shot now. It's pretty funny to watch.
wow.
Um,
Okay.
so it's a good photo though. I
So,
like the warmth of it. It's outdoors, so we're having a lot of really harsh shadows in her cheeks,
yep.
in these lines right here, which makes that implicates age,
Yeah,
which most women don't like.
yeah,
Um, so,
yeah. And she,
but again, you're taking them candidly. If it was a setup shot, I'd say to just grab. Go ahead.
oh, I said, I had a really hard time. I found some other ones, and then I really saw her neck, and I mean, the other ones were worse. Well, kind of what I um, wanted to get more from this photo is, again, some more tips on how I can set it up because that's where I had like that's already a fantastic tip of just, okay, just don't even try being candid and taking a good photo. Maybe I need to stop them. Because no matter which way I moved, it was just seemed like it was bad. And then to make it worse, our tap handles were on the other side. See where the guy is, that hidden behind the tap handles? Did I lose you?
Mm.
Oh no. So just even the light. So um, I guess just the tips on how to get good photos under bad circumstances.
Sorry, some tips on how to.
How do I guess, how do I, how do I look for those great moments or find those great moments where everything lines up, when nothing appears to line up? I would imagine this is what the wedding photographers run into, right? People just in the ceremony all over the place. And how do you catch just um, the right shot?
I think it's a combination of I think it's a combination of both. It is being everywhere at once, and some of it is just sort of a rapid fire progression where you're kind of going, there's a moment, there's a moment, there's a moment, and you're hoping that you're getting them. So, something like this one particularly, if I was shooting as an event photographer where I was giving you guys promo shots of the event, there'd probably be 4 to 8 shots of this sequence if I saw that she was given the right energy, she's having a good time, she's selling it like, oh my God, I want to go be there because she's having such a good time. Then it is just rapid fire kind of progression of going, I'm going to shoot this series, one of them's going to be the shot, and then picking the right one. And sometimes you don't always get it. Wedding receptions are like that a lot, and different events. Like, I've had shots where I'm like, oh, that would have been perfect if so-and-so wasn't in it, or that would have worked really well if this was different, or the light was different, or my flash had fired like it was supposed to. Sometimes you just miss them. And then it's also a matter of how much time you want to spend in post too, because I mean, really, if I really wanted that shot and I had taken it for a client and they were like, we love it, we just don't like him, the other guy that's behind it, I could take him out in post. It would just be time consuming. So
Social media, kind of for what it is, it's probably minimal.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this one would be a shot that would probably get included because a lot of places now, they'll put up events. So if they have like an open bar night, or everybody's out on the deck because it's the first nice day of spring kind of thing, and they're going to put up 150 shots and let all of their customers tag each other and themselves in it and share it on social media, this would get included in the collection. It just wouldn't be the signature shot from the night. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's still, grading it, I would still put it at a 2. I still think it's a good event photo. I think he kind of kills it.
Yeah,
And I think the lighting's a little harsh, but I still think that the emotional conveyance came across. And when you're looking at event photography and shooting live and photojournalist style, I still think you conveyed what was essential in the message to convey.
What would you do about the shadows? You said the light was harsh and you can see the shadows. That's absolutely the case. What would you do different?
You can touch it up slightly, and you can play with it a little bit in post, but honestly, it depends. Like, if you're outdoors and it just happens to be high sun, some of that's planning. Like, if this is your brewery and you have control over it, later afternoon sun is more forgiving. You get those really harsh shadows the higher the sun is in the sky, which is why like noon to 2 o'clock is like the witching hour for photographers, and none of us want to be out, and everybody loves that golden hour before sunset because the light's always really flattering. You can also, I don't know, if I'm guessing, that is the bar movable?
This particular bar is, but not. I don't know that we have the relationship where we can ask him just to like move the bar, just so that I could get a better picture. I mean, I suppose I can build it up that way.
That was just I mean, if it's a simple thing, if it's like, if it's your brewery and you guys are outside and having a good time, and so the bar gets moved outside when you do outdoor events and it's not stationary, if I was the photographer and I was going to be shooting several events like this, I would just bring it to them and go, look, the more flattering I make your clients look, the more inclined they are to tag themselves and each other on Facebook and other social media and share the photos, which is all free advertising for you, which means more people show up to the next one, which means you make more money. So how do you feel about the bar on the left side of the building instead of the right?
And you know what? That's a good point because I think if I were to call ahead of time and say we're doing some promo photos, could we do this at a certain time? I bet they'd work with us. So
Yeah,
I just
because that's,
thought even kind of thought that far ahead, but
yeah.
I could build a relationship
Um,
to that level where we could do that.
but at the same time, like as is right now, there's a couple of hot spots on the highlights that could be toned down, but I don't think that it's so, it's not, it's because of the harsh light,
Hmm.
not because it was overexposed as a photograph necessarily, because you have blacks in the shadows too. So it wasn't, the shot itself is not overexposed. You're just shooting with really harsh light. You're shooting in the worst light that a photographer can shoot in. I like that you're doing that as a newbie because if you learn to shoot in this light, you can shoot in any light.
Yeah, because that's the one thing. It's like I get it that it's going to look better in the evening, but the event is when the event is, and so if I look
Right.
at the pictures, I have to, for many of the events, I have to show up at the time.
They have warming filters and UV filters and all kinds of things that you can put on your lenses too that help to sort of soften the light a little bit or change the color of the light. You could also go in and I think just going into like the levels and the curves and playing with them a little bit, you could tone down the highlights and soften the shadows and bring them up a little bit so it's not quite so contrasty.
Okay.
Um,
And I did
so,
go out and buy a UV filter right before I took this picture, like on my way to the resort.
uh-huh.
But I guess it's not enough. I didn't know about the warming filters, so I'll research those.
Yeah, I mean, I have a plethora of them. Very, very rarely do they go on my lenses anymore, but I did like to play with them when I was doing events and weddings just to get different effects and things. And you'll find it, but I mean, if I was shooting promo events where I was actually taking people aside to photograph them, then I would just have a reflector or a diffuser and just putting a diffuser right over top of her and having somebody hold that will soften the light exponentially, and same thing, like it's just a matter, you might not even have to move the bar from one side to the other, but
Uh-huh.
if you had it turned around the other way so that she was facing away from the light and it was behind her instead of in front of her, then the lighting on her face would be even. So it's just a matter of play, but honestly, I'm still going to give you two for an image for the image because I do think that it's commendable and it gets the point across. And I would rather you shoot like this for the next year and not change anything because it will teach you to shoot in harsh light, which means you will learn how to control and manipulate the light to get the effects you want a lot faster this way.
Okay.
So I wouldn't look to make it convenient and easy. I'd look to get better. And shooting in the worst conditions is a really good way to get better really fast.
Okay.
Okay, so tell me about this shot.
So I have, again, I'm always looking for something that I can share on social media. And so this is a picture of our bottling line. We bought a 20 plus year old bottling line, and when it arrived, it was inserviceable and completely rusted. So the guys had to completely dismantle it and hand remove the rust from
Mm.
all of these pieces. And the kind of equipment that we need, it's incredibly expensive. A line like this would be over 200 grand, and it just was not on the budget. So, they bought a really old one and are restoring it. And so this is a picture of, oh wow, the line is all in pieces, and
Okay.
it's just stopping for a moment to look at a cool piece of equipment. And
Hmm.
people have been following the progress or progression of where we are with the line because they're waiting for six packs. We have orders for six packs as soon as we're able to complete this, putting this machine together.
I love this shot. It's perfect for social media, and you're absolutely right. people love to follow projects. As many people follow me on Instagram to see if my bathroom's done as they do to see my new photographs. They like seeing the progression, so I'm all about it, and I love this detail shot. The depth of field is fantastic. Um, Whatever this is, I want it gone. Retouch it out or crop it, but that's the only thing that's pulling me away from this, and this piece is definitely the star of the image, so I think that you could probably come in and just crop it right here and pull it in a little bit tighter and down a little bit more and make this the focus.
Okay.
But I love it in general, and it works fantastic for like Instagram and Facebook. I think it's the perfect kind of thing that people will be like, well, what is that? What are they doing? So it's a really good social media advertising photo.
Okay,
Um,
so let me ask you this, because I am also looking to redo the website, and I'm wanting to create some more website-worthy photos. Would you say this might be one of them?
my only concern with that is that I feel like the photos have to be standalone unless you're doing a blog. So I, not being savvy in brewery equipment, would not know what this is
Okay,
until you explained
maybe
it to
with the
me.
blog post. Okay, so no, that answers the question. Like
Yeah, but
with the blog post. Okay.
so I don't know that this would make, like, if you had like a portfolio of images on the main screen, I don't know if it would make it, but if you were doing a blog for the brewery, it would absolutely be a good blog series to keep up on that I'd be interested in reading about. Um, or I would have a series of images with a link to the blog. So if I came to this image, when I mouse over it, it should say, read about our bottling system here, how we're restoring instead of buying new, and, why that makes us super awesome. And I would just go through I should be able to click on it, and then that take me to the blog that explains what it is.
Okay, got it.
But I'm going to give this one a 3 anyway, because I do think that is really a really good photograph, and I love the shallow depth of field, and I like the coloring of it, and there's nothing that's not visually appealing about it. So it makes me interested to know what it is when I don't, and for me, that's the success. If I want to look at it until I figure out what I'm looking at, then it's a good photo.
Okay, great.
All right, tell me about this one.
So I'm looking now to create more interesting photos for social media. This one was created specifically for Instagram, which is why it's square.
Hmm.
And then I figure it probably doesn't matter that much for Facebook. I mean, they want their size, but it's Facebook. So so I decided that if I wanted okay, so what's really, really popular is pictures of the beer
Hmm.
in all kinds of scenes. For some reason that resonates with the beer community. So I thought, well, okay, so I better pack the bottle. So this was just taken this past weekend, and we went skiing, and I brought my backpack and threw in my camera and a bottle. This is our IPA. It's called Misdirected, as you can tell. And we caught the end of something that's called a pond skimming, and
Okay.
it's a race. It's a ski race, if you want to call it a ski race, but it's a costume event. It's packed. I mean, there's like thousands of people to come to this thing. They build bleachers out of ice or snow for people to watch it, and they artificially create a pond at the bottom of
That's
this
awesome.
hill, and then people come down in costumes, in either individuals or in teams, and the idea is that they skim across. They come and they skim across the pond, and they're supposed to skim all the way across, because if they don't, then they fall in the water, and
Right.
it's really, really cold. And so, again, we caught the end of the event, and I was actually really excited. I got an action photo, which I did not include here, of the guys like coming out of the water. And then I thought, oh, I wonder if I could get one with the bottle. So, by coincidence, I happened to get a shot of part of the bottle and then the guys in the back. And then when I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is all wrong. But again, that's what collected is all about. Like, it's all wrong. So,
Yeah.
um, so that's,
I
go
I
ahead.
love the composition of this shot and the storyline that you're getting. This is a really good one again for social media, and it's a really, really clever action shot that looks like it was perfectly planned to be an advertising shot. So very well done on that one. Photographically, there's only a few little things. Whatever this is right here, which I'm guessing is another person,
Yeah,
that's bugging me. I'd
that's
want to crop that out. And it's a little, you have like this nice like shadow with the sky that we're seeing the texture, and we lose it over here. This is a little hot for me, so I'd like to see this darkness kind of carried over here, which you
okay.
could do by just dodging a little bit. But I love the composition of these guys in their underwear and rollerblades here, like high-fiving, and that
Ski
you
boots.
know, your misdirection devil is looking right at it and leading into it. You couldn't have planned that any better. And then I'd also want to just go in and clone out your finger holding the bottle so that it's just the bottle itself. And
Okay.
then maybe go in and darken right here because this is really hot behind him.
Okay.
So if we could tone that down a little bit, I think that'd be better from a photographic perspective. But overall, like, that's a photographer looking at it. Everybody else is looking at the shot and going, "That's awesome." So even with those little things, I'm still gonna give this one a 3 because I just think it's a really clever, lucky moment shot, and it just played out perfectly.
Yeah, it was lucky. Yeah, this is really kind of what I'm going for. Like, I would like to have more of this kind of stuff for the website. So,
Well, I'm looking at
recommend
it because
social media. Yeah.
I was curious looking at your work to see where you wanted your focus to be, but I am going to say that out of all the apprentices, and there's about 45 of you total now, um, that you are the first photographer I've seen that I think has a very natural eye, even very early on, for understanding social media marketing. And that is totally different than shooting for advertising and marketing campaigns in the traditional sense. And a lot of companies and a lot of photographers are having a hard time understanding how it translates differently into a different dialect with social media because that's where all the consumers are. And the great thing about it is that this kind of stuff, like Instagram and Facebook, it's free. So
Mm.
if you can capitalize on social media marketing and what makes a good photo that has the potential to go viral and have a lot of interaction, then you're getting what other companies are paying thousands of dollars for because they're not getting it right in the photograph.
Yeah, I actually, I don't know if it's so natural. I mean, I have a 35, 40-minute commute to work, and I'm a podcast junkie and listen to a lot of social media training. Like, I almost every day I listen to a training on social media, and I have for the last year. So there's a
Okay.
there's a lot that I have not implemented simply because I only have so much bandwidth, but it's an area that I knew nothing about, and I needed to figure out sort of kind of where to go or what to do with it. So it is an area of interest. So. And I have to say, it's become really fun just because our people, like our fans now, are really interactive and they're kind of funny and hilarious, and they get so excited about things, and it's really a conversation. Um,
Hmm.
so that part of it is really, it's kind of cool.
Well, that's social media. That's exactly the point of it. So you're acing that. So your personal homework assignment is to post some of the podcasts that you like best and that you're learning from in the cohort so the other apprentices can take advantage because whatever, if that's what you're attributing it to, it's definitely working.
Yeah, it's definitely, yeah. In fact, yeah. So okay, I'll post that.
Okay,
Um,
so
this,
tell me about this one.
so this photo, I would love to learn how to light the tanks and the area and come back and take like a really great like portrait. I had seen this photo years ago somewhere and fallen in love with it, and it just been in the back of my head. And I was in the brewery shooting the tanks, and I looked up and I'm like, oh my God, there's my shot. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, freeze! And I gotta take a picture of this. And he did. So I had like 2 seconds. I wasn't even sure if I was gonna get him in focus or the lighting or anything. I just knew that like where all the tanks were and there he was, like that's the photo.
Yeah.
Um, so I get it that the lighting's crummy and he's all dirty and all this stuff, but I mean, this picture, I posted it and people went crazy. Like
Yeah.
I went to find out like what was going on because I kept getting pinged on Facebook, and it was just comment after comment after comment, and people shared it and like loved it like over and over again. And all the comments about it. So we have a lot of home brewers that follow us, and that's always kind of like, you're at the back of your head dreaming, oh, if I could have a brewery someday. And
Hmm.
then just anyway, there was just a lot of like amazing comments about this picture. Um,
Yeah, and I totally get why. Like, this is a very good, it's an artist shot, is what it is. It's an artist in the middle of his medium, and people don't
exactly.
think of a brewer as an artist necessarily, but it absolutely is. Like, artists are in everything, and you got him in his element. You captured the animal in his wild environment. That's what you did.
That's what I did.
Um,
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's natural and it's gritty, and I like that his jeans are dirty. I think that all of that adds to it because it makes it very approachable. It's somebody that, and it's also part of who he is. Like, if he's been working at this and this is his baby and you guys built this out of thin air, he put in some hours with that and he got dirty to help build this. Like, that's part of the story too. So I love this shot. The lighting is not bad necessarily. It's not fantastic. There's a pretty harsh shadow on the side of his face here, um, which may actually be like some of the grime in the dirt too. But that's the only thing that really bothers me about the lighting on him necessarily. It's a little bit hot behind him, but that doesn't bother me. I think if it was shot at a shallower depth of field so that we lost some of the non-essential information in the walls and the windows behind, and you can actually do this digitally too. Like, this does not have to be something that we got in camera, but I would want to see you go back in and post and create a blur for everything that's behind him and just leave these tanks and him in focus and some of the flooring so that it's still a natural falling off of the focus. But I think that that would make it a really astounding shot, and then it would go from being a social media shot to being one that I could see being like a portrait that's hanging in the brewery of the founder of the brewery.
Okay.
Like, this is the kind of shot that I could see this, and I actually think that it would probably be really strong in like a sepia tone or a monochromatic or black and white too,
Mhm.
because this is the kind of shot that I could see in like a 5x7 or an 8x10 that's at the brewery when somebody is like, yeah, that was my grandpa, or that's the original owner, way back in 2014, you know, 50 years ago when it first opened, or 100 years ago, like you see like those little stores that have like the original owners. That's this kind of shot.
And when you ask what kind of shots, would I want to do, like, we have friends that have businesses, little businesses, like we have some friends that have a chocolate factory, and we have another friends that have a distillery, like, um, not that I don't know that I would necessarily want to go look for commercial photography, but it's something that I would just naturally want to shoot for people that I know that their businesses mean so much.
I think that you would be, it would still fall under if you were putting it in a genre under commercial photography, but I don't think that you're a commercial photographer in the sense of advertising and branding as much as you are a storyteller for small businesses. I see you as a much more intimate approach to it rather than a marketing and branding, you would tell the stories of them very well, I feel.
Yeah.
So, and you do in this one. I like this shot a lot. There's a couple of little things that bother me. Some of the coloring, like whatever this blue thing is here, that grabs my attention. The green grabs my attention, and this red bucket thingy grabs my attention because all of this is so monochromatic in comparison.
Hmm.
So I'd be inclined to turn the color down behind him.
Okay.
I'm really interested to see this shot in black and white. I think it'd be a stronger image in black and white or sepia toning. But I like this shot as a whole, and I think this is a really good one too that I've seen from you. So I'm gonna give this one a 2 only because I do think that the lighting could use a little bit of touch up, and I think it would have been stronger in a more shallow depth of field. But it's a really, really high 2 for me.
Okay.
All right, tell me about this one.
So the process of making beer is basically you make something that's called wort, which is sugar water. You
Okay.
use grains, and then you put yeast in a tank, and the yeast eats the sugars and turns the sugar into alcohol,
Hmm.
and the byproduct is CO2. So what you see here is there's hoses that come out of the tank that basically let the CO2 out, and so the bucket starts burbling. And sometimes you have to empty it several times. It's a sign that basically alcohol is in the process of being made.
Okay.
And so basically that was the story. Here again is just a shot for social media. And again, always just pulling for something. It's like I mean, I actually a long time ago, like I got chastised because I was not posting every day. So like our fans want something every day, and
Hmm.
I'm not there during the day. I have a day job, so a lot of the times when I get to the brewery, it's after hours, and so I'm shooting just the equipment or empty space, kind of pulling for something to shoot. So
Right.
so that was what this was about.
Okay. I can bite off on this being the shot that you took when you didn't know what else to take. Um, but I'm gonna just it works again, it works for social media as long as you're accompanying it with an explanation for what it is, because all it is for me right now is a bucket on the floor of a dirty kitchen,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and again, it's because you're in this every day, so you look at it and go, of course it's the beer fermenting and the CO2 goes up that tube. And, but people that know nothing about breweries don't know that inherently. So all it is a bucket. And we can't even see any of the liquid that's in it to really know. We just see some water or liquid spattered around it outside. So there's nothing that's really telling the story to someone that doesn't already know the story. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I could see it. I could see it working in a pinch for, hey, I have to post something today. And the chances are that it would work because most of the people following you are probably avid beer drinkers and brewery goers that would know a little bit more than the average person. Um, that said, I would also tell you that if you're looking to take interesting pictures of ordinary things, take it from an angle that nobody sees it at. So if I'm walking in the kitchen, I can totally see that because that's exactly how it would look from where I'm standing. Uh, so I'd
That's a
be
good comment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so if you had actually gotten down on the ground and shot from the ground up on the bucket and made the bucket look 12 feet tall, or gotten behind, um, the thing or shot from directly overhead, just look for an angle that you don't usually see it from because nobody else will see it from that angle and then it looks like an art shot. You know who's actually really good at this? Mackenzie Gossard. That girl is like my little protege. I picked her up when she was 14 because she was getting into photography and her mom was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting her camera. Can you make a recommendation?" And I said, I'm doing a retreat this weekend. Bring her up and have her come. And I gave her the homework assignment to send me 25 photos. And I wasn't honestly expecting her to do it because, you know, she's a 14-year-old little girl. Like, what's she going to do? You know, she had other things. And she sent me the pictures and she blew me away with a 3-ring binder photo. Like the most uninteresting thing that I could possibly think of for somebody to photograph. And she just took a picture of it in a way that I had never seen it and made it look interesting to me. And the things that she took pictures of, she did them in a way in the detail shots that I had never seen them from that made me want to keep looking at them. And I thought, I am paying professional photographers hundreds of dollars to come second shoot for me, and she's seeing them better than these guys are. And so that's why I took her under and why she's in my cohorts here. Now she's 16. She's been at it for 2 years because I pride myself on being an artist, and she sees things in a way that I don't see them. So you should touch base with her and have her share some of your work because that'll help you start to see things that you're seeing every day in a way that you don't usually see them and start looking for different angles. Because that's the other thing. It's really hard to take photographs of interesting things after they've become uninteresting to you, you know? So you go through and you see that bucket on that floor every single day, and it probably looks just like that, you know? So I think it'll appeal to the creative nature of you too, to try to find an angle that you're like, wow, that's a really interesting shot. I never thought about it like that, you know, and it'll naturally intrigue other people because they have to look at it, or take pictures of things that are even closer up that people have to look at it for a few seconds to figure out what it's an actual photo of. Make them work for it a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah, I'll definitely talk to her because that's a challenge. I mean, if you're in a beautiful place, I mean, half the work's already done.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in some place that's not that interesting looking, to try to make something that's not really interesting look great, that's not so easy.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just perspective. It doesn't have to look great. It just has to be visually interesting. And I think that's where her strength lies. And where I think that you will find it start to be a lot easier to post those daily images when you don't necessarily have something that in and of itself is inherently interesting to post. So I'm going to give this one a 1.
Okay.
I think that it shows promise, but for me, if you didn't explain it to me and I just came across and looked at it, it's a bucket on the floor. It's not telling me enough of a story for me to go, oh, I bet you that's in a brewery and it's making CO2 right now, you know? So it's not a strong enough story for me by itself, and I don't think it's visually enticing enough in the composition and there's not enough of anything with it to make it a really good image that I want to keep looking at. This one would be one that I would just scroll past on the newsfeed.
Okay, so the challenge is to make this bucket look really amazing.
Yeah, actually, that is a challenge. I want you to bring this bucket back to level 9, but I want you to take a new shot of it. It's going to be a bonus image. That's your personal mantra now. All right, last one. Tell me about this one.
So we are doing a collaboration beer with a coffee company, and these are one of the guys, and so they're preparing the coffee to put into the barrels. They're making cold brew, basically. And sort of my challenge with this particular one is like I realized the bright areas in the wrong spot, but for some reason I liked the shot. And I liked it better than some of the other ones, and I don't even know why. One thing that was really disappointing is I sort of have just a very basic setup in terms of equipment. I have one prime lens, and I'm still learning how to use it and kind of gauge how far away from the subject I need to be so that the subject's in focus. And I took a bunch of pictures that were just out of focus completely. So at least this one's halfway kind of in focus. And so that's kind of where we're at. Like I totally get it that it's probably bad to have your face up high and the coffee low and then the bright spot in the middle. But for whatever reason, I don't know, I kind of like it.
I actually like this one. The only part that really bothers me with the highlights is just this little spot right here is a little bit too hot.
Uh-huh.
But I don't mind that it's a little bit blown out because it's really separating him and the profile of him from the background. And I actually think that if you had this kind of coloring on the side, we would like see how we start to lose the line of his neck into
Yes.
the coloring. I feel like if this was on the other side, we would start to lose his face, which is essential. So I think that's why you like it, even if you didn't see that at first, is that it really does cut him out from the background and make him the focus.
Okay.
It's actually a little bit of a shame that we didn't have this kind of brightness extend over here too, because I think it would have helped make the coffee pop a little bit more, which is essentially the whole point of the shot. Um,
Yeah, I wasn't sure, maybe to get your feedback on it. One thing that bothered me about it, like again, I like the shot, but the thing that bothers, like I know you're supposed to have like one center point, and I'm here, like I don't know if my eye's supposed to go to the coffee or if my eye's supposed to go to the guy.
yeah,
And
that's
that's it.
that's back in that's both. So, and really the answer is both or either. So if I was doing this and I was taking these shots because this is going on right now, I would probably do one of each where I would shoot at a shallow or depth of field and I would make him the focus of one. But if I was going to do that, I wouldn't be shooting it profile, uh, from the side like this. I would be over here on this side shooting face on where his hand and the coffee would be blurred out and it would be about him pouring
Mhm.
it in. And then this shot would definitely be about the coffee. So I probably would be um, shooting it a little bit tighter and pulling it down here so that we were still keeping the idea of him in, but the focus would have been very sharply on the coffee and I would have been making sure that this was the essential information. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I would want, and since we're talking about coffee now, if we're making the coffee the focus of the shot, there should be a lot of texture in here. This should be tack sharp. I should be seeing in light and shadows each side of the grain of each individual grain of the coffee. You know, like I should be able to see everything that this has to offer because the coffee is the star. Um,
And yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't do a good job.
No, and it's fine, but like right here, if you're asking me for this photograph, he's the focus because he's more in focus.
Yeah.
That's
And
the general rule is whatever's in focus is the star of the shot.
okay. And I think you just in the conversation something came to mind. I think I was a little bit of a kamikaze shooter, and I was just shooting, hoping that I would catch something that would be good. And I didn't think, am I going to make him the focus or am I going to make the coffee the focus? Which probably would help as I'm taking the photos.
It is, and it's back and forth, and you'll learn that as you go. You'll start to see that, and that will kick in second nature. Like the first couple of weddings, I had a couple like that. Like we had a couple where somebody was taking a picture of somebody else at the wedding. Like it would be one of the bridesmaids taking pictures of all of the bridesmaids, or they'd be doing selfies and holding it. And I have learned to double shoot where they would be out of focus, but the screen of the camera would be in focus because I was seeing their faces there. Or the earlier critique we did with Carlos, she had the shot of the bride's father looking at her, and he was like all teary-eyed, and it was a good emotional shot. I'll shoot for both, you know. I'll shoot one where the bride's in focus, and I'll shoot one where her dad's in focus or the groom's in focus. So you shoot both sides because both hold their merit as an individual photo, and then you have both to look at. So you may have gotten this shot, and then the second shot, he may have been really soft but the coffee was in focus, and then you could look at them both and go, okay, which one's better? And you could probably show both. Like this would be a good shot for social media and even Instagram. You could put, the borders on the side, and then the second shot could be just this, with the coffee,
Oh, I have that picture and that picture. You're right.
Yeah. So the answer is always both. If you catch it and you go, what am I focusing on? Either everything's in focus or whatever you want in selective focus, you focus back and forth on both. So if this had been tack sharp all the way, you can always go in digitally and blur what you don't or crop it to be just what you do. So when in doubt, I always shoot wide open so that whatever I look at and go, that's what I want the shot to be about, I can make that what the shot's about, especially when you're shooting sort of live and in the moment because you're not posing and you can't go back and change it. Like here you can just go, hey, can you pour that again? But I mean, if he's measuring meticulously to add that, you can't be like, I didn't quite get that. Can you just add more? I know we'll probably ruin that entire barrel, but it's for the sake of the photo. So, but I think that it works. He's still, even here though, really, if you want to know the star of the shot, it's this ear. And, it's a handsome ear, but I'm not sure that was the storyline. But because of how dark it is and because we just caught the focus here, like the hair right here and the edge of the ear is actually sharper than the eyelashes.
Yeah, right.
So you missed your focus point a little bit on this one. So this is another one that I would give a 1 just because I really do think that it had the potential to be something good. I just think that you missed the mark. But, like you said, you're just starting out. Like, these are way better than my first sessions and my first event shoots and my first social media posts, like by leagues and bounds. So I wouldn't be discouraged at all because you do have a natural eye and ability to see what's making a good shot. You just missed it, that one.
Okay.
So, woo! All right, we got through all the images. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good. Okay, so we talked a little bit about wanting to move on and start your own thing. I see a lot of potential for social media photography, and that is an art that not everybody has learned to see because we didn't grow up with social media. So that puts you leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of your competition in understanding the subtleties with that. I love the idea of the beer girls and the studio and the brewery. I think that's really cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch base on at level 4?
Not really. I mean, the thing that's really just spinning in my head is just trying to make a decision of which direction to go in. It seems like I do like to shoot a lot of different subjects, and it seems like it's going to take a lot longer to get good at any one thing if I'm shooting a whole bunch of things.
This is true. I don't bite off on you have to choose which one, but you do have to choose which one first.
Yeah, which one first, right?
But a lot of the talents that you pick up in one will translate to the others. So if you focus on, say, portraiture, and you learn lighting with portraiture, inherently you will start to understand how to light landscapes and how to light macro shots. And, a lot of it is translatable. I'm much better if I walk into a room and do, if I was to shoot a house for a realtor, a lot of my lighting skills and my understanding of what makes a good photograph compositionally will translate to that, even though that's not my native, photography tongue, and I'm a portrait photographer. So you'll find that they're translatable. As far as deciding where to start, follow passion first. Profit follows passion, 100%, all the time. A lot of people chase the money. They go, oh, I'm going to shoot weddings because that's the easiest way to make money. It's the wrong way to go about it because whatever you chase gives chase. It's a natural, it's like a law of nature. Like, if you start chasing something, they start running. And it works with the law of attraction too. I'm a very big believer in that. So, um, the bottom line is that right now you're at a place that you don't need to make money from your art. You want to, but it's not a necessity. You have a job, you have the brewery. It's not financially necessary for you to make any income right now as you are where you're at. So
Right.
pick what you want to do and we will build the business around that, because I would rather you spend your time well than your money.
Okay, so what do we decide this? Okay, so I I think in terms of um, kind of quicker wins is if I can go, like, what do you like? If I could go on vacation and I can come back with like amazing photos, like we would have like achieved success. Um, and I have a need to take photos of the beer in different landscapes, so I could
Okay.
two birds in one stone. I think the Beer Girls would be a total hoot and super fun. And I think the easier segue into that is once we open the tap room, which we're waiting on licensing right now. Our application is pending. So I think probably we're 4 to 8 weeks out. Like once that happens, it'll be easier for me in terms of instead of having to go and look for models and look for all these things. Like if I can just put up a sign, and like here I'm available Monday morning or whatever, Saturday morning or whatever, that would be a lot easier for me. Um, and I would have gotten just the very basics. Like I don't have to be amazing at landscapes, just like good enough that just to be happy with my snapshots. Um, and um, and then begin to do some more of like the really fun creative things. I don't know.
Okay.
That's sort of where I'm leaning. Uh,
So my recommendation is that you don't start any sentence with what makes the most sense,
yeah, it does.
what's easier for me, you know, what I think will work is. Those are all the wrong lead-ins. What I
Yeah.
want you to do is I just want you to start it with, I really want to, and that's it. And you don't have to justify the fact that you want to do something that makes you happy. Don't justify it with cost. Don't justify it with logic. Don't justify it with easy. Don't worry about making it easy. Worry about making it worth it.
Okay, so if I were to pick like something that I think like today would be really cool, but in my world it kind of lives like, oh my God, like where would I even start? This seems kind of overwhelming. But like if we could pull it off, it would be so cool. Is um, we're opening a brewery gift shop, and I talked to this local artist who's a woodworker who, anyway, he's making us these specially crafted wooden bottle openers. And I'm
Okay?
thinking, wouldn't it be cool to have like a wild kind of like act like a fashion shop with this, not your run of the mill, just kind of product shot, but something that lives more in the world of fashion or art or kind of something funny like or cheeky, guys opening, we're playing with the bottle. But now what's sort of overwhelming is I don't even own lights. I don't have a studio. Like I don't even know where to start with that. It just seems like the learning curve for that is so high.
You don't need lights and you don't need a studio in order to do that.
Do it outside and deal with the weather.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Or borrow somebody else's studio or connect with another photographer friend and give them a case of beer to teach you how to do it and use their lights. Like there's a million different ways around it.
What was
There really is.
being? Of
If
course.
you if you go online and look for elegant boudoir photography, if you look on the back cover, there's this beautiful um, auburn kind of redhead with these big flowers in her hair, and she's holding the fabric up. it's my sister-in-law, and somebody told me that the reason that they weren't successful is because I was spoiled and had a studio and had professional lights and professional camera, and I had all the stuff they didn't have, and that's what was holding them back. So my sister came over with her then 1-year-old. He was like 18, 19 months, and I had him, and I had my two, and I had the dog, and I had the cat, and we had pizza being delivered, and I shot her right here in this room with the ceiling fan. I'm not kidding. Like, the ceiling fan as my lighting source. And the publisher liked it so much that they put it as one of the signature images on the back of the book.
Wow.
Your problem is not the problem. Your problem is thinking that the problem is the problem.
No,
So find your way around it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so
Absolutely right.
if you want to do that, the best thing for you to do is break it down a little more. Are you on Pinterest?
Yes.
Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to make an inspiration board for the idea for this shoot and make it a little more concrete and less conceptual as to what it is that you actually want to do. And then I want you to post that board in the group because you do have a varying degree from amateur to professional with your fellow cohorts, especially since you have 4 or 5 other proteges that are masters. Posted in the convergence group and go, this is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And let them play off of it because they work with lights and they work with natural light and they do product photography and there's landscape photographers in there and, you know, all kinds of things, and let everybody throw their 2 cents in on how to make this possible with where you are right now. And I guarantee you all of a sudden it will seem much less overwhelming. It seems overwhelming because you're not sure what to do. Being overwhelmed is another way of saying, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know where to start, but I do now.
Yeah, so go and create an inspiration board that says, this is kind of what I want to do or what I'm thinking, and these are the ideas that I have, and share that. And the people that do know, whatever they know, whether it's the lighting or the concept or what the camera settings would be or, you know, some other great ideas on how to make that possible or where to go and do it, they will start piecing it together, and all of a sudden you'll have all these little pieces and you'll go, okay, well now I know this, 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 and this. I just don't know this and this. And then you can focus your energy on that and we can go find you the answers for that. But all it is a systematic breakdown.
I already like a million things are going through my head of how to make this happen.
Good. That's where we want you.
Okay.
Good. I'm done. My work is done here. Go away. I'm done with it.
Okay, thank you.
Are you feeling good after your level 4?
Yeah, feeling great.
Good. Okay, good. I'm glad we got to sit down in one-on-one, but I am going to hang up on you now because I think I'm going to still try to do Vans too.
Okay, thanks. Alrighty. Yeah, and I'm late to a meeting, but I'm still glad.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.